You are listening to Senior Moments with your co-hosts, CC and Millie. Our subject today is Donald Trump again. I like to start our show off with a quote. This quote, I couldn't find anybody to attribute it to, so it's anonymous. Let me just say that I agree fully with this quote. Let me also say that the opinions that are stated on this program are my opinions. When you hear me talking, they are my opinions. True leaders always practice the 3 R's: respect for self, respect for others, responsibility for all their actions. The reason I stated that these is my opinion is because I fully feel that we have a leader in the White House that does not go by any of these 3 R's. He doesn't have respect for himself because he's not truthful. He most certainly does not have respect for others. And he's only responsible for his actions if it gets him an accolade. When it doesn't get him an accolade, he denies it. One thing that I have is, so what makes a good leader? Is it compassion, vision, courage, connection, accountability, responsibility, self-awareness, learning, or encouragement? Our current White House residents, compassion was one of the first things on my list. A person that would separate children from their parents is not a compassionate person. In his effort to do this, a lot of children have been lost. A lot of children, parents don't know where their children are. They don't know how to contact their children. Of senior citizens that depend on it in order to keep their health at a reasonable level. A person would not take health care from people that in all possibilities have no other means to have health care. When President Obama was in the White House, he ran into a lot of catastrophes. And to give an accolade to President Obama, he dug in and got people taken care of till they were back on their feet. One of the comments that our current White House residents made was that we can't aid Puerto Rico forever. He acted like Hurricane Maria was the fault of the Puerto Ricans. The Puerto Ricans did not have anything to do with the weather. I'm sure if they could have had Hurricane Maria bypass them, they would not have had the damage to their island that they had. One of the things that my quote had in it was vision. Our current leader wants to build a bridge. To me, in building this bridge, he doesn't take into consideration that building a bridge will have no effect. People are coming by air. They're coming by water. They're digging tunnels underground. And so he wants to build a bridge that initially he said Mexico was going to pay for. Mexico has always said, foremost and always, they were not paying for no bridge. Our current leader stressed that the American people were not going to pay for the bridge. To me, it was something that he said that he could not back up. And now he is saying he's made threats that he would shut the government down again if he did not get the funding for his bridge. I think that our current administrator does not have a vision because in the pollutions of the ocean, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about how it's going to affect the future children. The people that are children today are going to have to live in the world that we create. Our current administrator does not atmosphere that his children and grandchildren have to live in. One thing that I feel that the current administrator doesn't have courage. He doesn't have courage and accountability. He wants to be the friend of his constituents, even if what he's telling them is not the truth. He wants it to be friendly. He doesn't care about telling the truth. Another thing that he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want to give credit where credit is due. He always wants to pile the credit for things on himself, even when he is not responsible. Case in point is the economy is picking up. The economy had taken a severe downturn. President Obama walked into a mess, and he worked hard to get the country back on its feet. And the jobs going up, more and more jobs are a result of the work that President Obama did, not the current White House resident. Billy?
Well, I'm going to say what you just said about the jobs and the economy is to the job employment, and for Blacks and Mexican is very low employment. And so Trump wants to take the blame for that, is that he is the one that has did all this. But he, some people, I won't say something, this show I was watching remind Trump that he didn't start this Obama year, started the decline in employment and unemployment and economics. You know, everything was just going so well when he got into the House, in the White House, that it just came all the way over to now he thinks he's claiming that he is the one that bringing all this down, but it just didn't start in the year that he's been in the office. So Trump don't want to give President Obama, former President Obama, any credit, anything that he did to do good for the United States. He's reversing everything he can reverse and do harm to the things that are going to help the United States. And the United States is doing so well that he thinks he's supposed to get the blame for that.
He thinks he's supposed to get the credit. You know, when I look at him, he doesn't. You know, they're talking about cutting benefits down. And I'm not an advocate for abortion, but I think that women that want to get birth control, there should be a Planned Parenthood. You know, you can't make a decision. To me, a woman has to make a decision for herself. And if you have a child that you can't take care of, I'm not an advocate of abortion, but I can see where people make decisions.
Well,
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood is to help the people that cannot afford. Other side of the coin, the other people say that you don't want to help close down Planned Parenthood, but they don't think about that it is helping keeping them from having even have children, to have they won't have to have an abortion. But if you get rid of Planned Parenthood, yeah, if you get rid of the organization, then they're going to make them have more children that they can't afford to have. And if you have something out there for them that they can walk in and they don't have to try to wonder, how can I save money and go to a doctor when they are not making the money in the first place to take care of the children that they have. So it's
you know, to me, it's difficult when people have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Do I buy groceries today or do I get medicine? And so since we want to cut down on the care that we give people, I would think that we would keep an organization open and even help this organization if it's going to let them get the birth control pills or even get the care that they need. With so many social diseases now, they can go and be checked and examined. And so
it's more than just one thing that they're going there for.
Right.
And so that could be really helpful to the low income people that really need this.
Sure.
And it's not only saying for Black or Mexican. This is for everybody. It is some poor white folks out there, just like it is Black and Hispanic. I'm sure it's all around the board. That's that everybody gonna need a hand up every once in a while, and we can't think that everyone is making this a way of life. Everybody's not. Some people are gonna need a hand up sometimes, and so
everybody at one time or another needs a helping hand. Everybody,
yes, and I'm sure some of the rich people, if it wasn't them, I'm sure it was their parents, may have needed a helping hand. I'm sure most of them came from across
borders from someplace, the water or borders from someplace.
Yes.
Most of the people in this country now today, they're immigrants, their ancestors, their great grandparents came from someplace else.
Yes, and I'm sure the president, as well as everybody else, sometime or another, well, his father probably, because his father made sure he had something, and I wonder if people that was born and had money while they was growing up and have things, do they even realize or even think about how people are struggling to
make ends meet?
Yes.
Like you said, it comes down to, like in our case with senior citizens.
Yes.
You have so many places that you go where people are so unethical that it really is a struggle. And you have senior citizens that are really wondering, do I buy my groceries this time or do I buy my medicine?
Right.
Because I need both. And so when you make it more difficult for people to get the care that they need, the one thing that I'm looking for the other shoe to fall down is Flint, Michigan, where they had the water. That is going to be a long time catastrophe because
yes, it is.
There are going to be people that are going to need care on a long-term basis, a very long-term basis, because of the dirty water in Flint, Michigan.
And the children drank that water, and you don't know what effect they're going to have, like you said, long-term, and if they're going to need medical help or what's going to happen there. So it's just that, people all over everywhere. And I look at Puerto Rico, they have been struggling ever since Maria hit them last year, and they got to go through something this year.
Yeah.
The
hurricane
first
season started early.
Yes, and already got started. So they're gonna have to be some praying folks, because if it
can you think, today how hot it is, how hot it is just today, and I'm blessed, let me just say, because the farthest I walk is from the car to the door. But can you imagine living someplace where a majority of those people have been without electricity, to where they could even turn on a fan to even cool off for 7 months, and the hurricane season is starting early, no clean water. And what I look at the current administration is, he's so busy running backwards and forwards to Florida to his golf course that he has not taken my assessment. This is my assessment, that he does not care if it does not affect him personally. He doesn't care that the people in Puerto Rico don't have electricity and don't have clean water. As hot as it is in Kansas City today, I am grateful that when I go out, I can get in my air-conditioned car. And when I go home, I can go home to my air-conditioned house. And even if I didn't have air conditioning, at least have the ability to plug in a fan.
Right.
He doesn't. What I see with him, he doesn't care because it doesn't affect him. If he had to get himself out and he had to be uncomfortable, maybe he would consider doing a bit more.
His concentration right now is on having this meeting with the Rocket Man over in Korea, as he called him.
His name, yeah, his name.
Yeah, his name, and his name is
Kim Jong Un.
It's not
Korean,
easy.
He's North Korean
president. Yeah, and
I think that's petty for him to nickname him. You know, to me, that's something that kids do.
He nicknamed a lot of folks and call them out of their name and different things. So this is unpresidential for and no apology whatsoever in any time. So
and he's accusing former President Obama of putting a spy in his campaign organization.
Yes.
And to me, he's accused former President Obama of so many things. He accused him of not being an American citizen when it was determined that our former President Obama was an American citizen. Do you think that the current administration would go back and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I apologize? That seems to be something that's foreign to him. And so you keep making these unfounded, ungrounded claims. And when it's proven that you are incorrect or false, and you don't have the decency to go back and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Yes. And he asked the the FBI guy to investigate the spy. And he gave it to one of the lawyers that's already investigating about the Democrats and stuff. So Rosenblum, he got it out as he's saying real quick, so he wouldn't have to. And they are investigating, and they still have not found any person that was planted, as President Trump said, was planted in his campaign, and they have not found that person yet. So
I think he's doing so much that's illegal. This is my thought. The closer and closer that Mueller gets to him, because there have been quite a few indictments. They want to say this is a witch hunt, but it evidently is not, because they've indicted people. And there's people. I really think that for President Trump, that as it gets closer and closer to him, he starts throwing shade.
And last week he was on the White House was under fire talk about as a committee was going to talk about the investigation of the Russia, and they went over there and crashed. They weren't even invited. And they wanted to go over there and find out what's going on. But it's just so many things.
He does everything so illegal. It's like he feels like he's doesn't have to be accountable.
Yes, above the law and everything and whatever else. It can be above what he thinks is above everything. He's just invisible.
He thinks that what he says is law. And to me, him being the president of the United States is different than him being the CEO of a company.
Yes.
When you're the CEO of a company, everybody kind of has to kiss up, because the CEO is like God of the company.
Right.
But when you're the president of the United States,
you got to answer to
entirely different scenario.
People put you in office, not you got a business run.
It's an entirely different scenario. You've got the Supreme Court and you've got the legislative branch. You've got the judicial and you've got the legislative branch. And so you can't just think that everything you said is going to go without some sort of investigation.
And, also they was talking last week about him bullying, and they said Trump is a bullying. He have a bullying pulpit. Yeah. So he think that he can bully his way through whatever whatever it is. He want to bully, he want to threaten people and call them out their names and do whatever it takes to get
his point across.
And usually when they get, like you said, when they get close to him investigating this Russia thing, then he brings up something else. It just like last week again. You know what he started talking about? The NFL.
Okay.
The NFL. He was talking about the guys at the president of the NFL said that everybody that comes, the black guys that standing up for their rights,
take a knee for
taking a knee and stuff, they not the presidents and all of them voted on they either stay in the locker room or stand in the tunnel, not to come out if they're not going to honor the national anthem. And they said they're not going to go for that. I don't know what they're going to do yet, but they're not going to go for that.
I can't think of which team it was that said that if his players feel like they want to take a knee, that he would pay the fine. And so, but to me, this is not. To me, this is like a dictatorship.
Yes, because they do have rights to speak. They have right to protest. The way that they can't tell them how to protest.
No, I mean, it's illegal. And so I think if he keeps pushing, so many things about Donald Trump. He's got the women that have said that he sexually assaulted them, which he's denied. He's done his income taxes, and that has kind of gone to the side. It seems to me that he causes drama wherever he goes. He doesn't do anything in a peaceful way that encourages people, that gets people together. It's always drama and chaos.
And see, just like when they was talking about the NFL, they said that's just about what's gone away. It was right at the end of the football games. It was about 7 people still taking knees. It was about 7. If he hadn't said anything when they started that game again, that probably been it. But now that he done came back up with something else, then he just opened up
a can of worms
every time. And that's what I can't understand is Bill Cosby, Weinstein, all these other folks, Morgan, and all of them, they are being held accountable for what they've done with these women. When is he going to be accountable?
Yes.
And so it's not that we are saying things that don't happen.
They've got a recording of him admitting to it. They've got a recording that not something that someone else has said about you. They've got a recording of him saying it. And so to me,
it just that is, and
he thinks he's untouchable.
Yes. And one thing about it, I think that the people are going to have to go to the poll and prove him wrong. He's going to, and when I say wrong, let him know that you are not God. You're just the president of the United States. And when I say jealous, you can't think you are God and think you're going to get away with everything.
That's true.
And so you want to live above the law. I mean, I did this to these women and nothing can. Yes. Oh, don't.
if it's in his favor, then yeah. Because he hollered about Hillary Clinton, but then when it came to the point where his son-in-law was doing things that he shouldn't. Then now it's a witch hunt. But when he was on Hillary Clinton, even with the debates where he was walking around her, to me, he looked like he was crazy walking behind her, but it was his way of intimidating her, of trying to intimidate her and scare her.
Right. And didn't scare her one bit.
No, it didn't.
And with his sons, daughter, son-in-law, all of them, been quiet here lately, but they did say last week that his son-in-law,
Jared
Kushner, got his clearance again, and that when he got his clearance, then they're gonna have to investigate. He should let sleeping dogs lie, because when you bring that back up, they're gonna be after him again, probably, because he did some things that he shouldn't have.
That were not ethical. He's done some things that were not on the up and up.
And you are in. He been there for a year and almost a half, and he just now getting a clearance, and he been doing all this secret stuff and been representing the United States, and It's wrong.
Oh
They're
yeah.
just wrong.
You know, you hate to make comparisons, but if President Obama
Oh,
had
girl.
done half of what Donald Trump is
He
getting
would
away
have been
with, they would
impeached
have,
a long time
oh yeah,
ago.
they would have been trying to hang him,
Yeah.
hanging from a tree.
Mm,
And so,
Yeah.
to me, it makes me angry, and it also makes me fearful, because I would think it's not just him being Republican. It's just that what he does is not ethical. He's not true to his word. I never
Mhm.
saw any president tell such unnecessary lies. This man lies, you know, it's like he lies and says, well, let me see if she's going to believe it or not.
And you know he done lied so much they even keep account of it. They know how many lies that he done did, and so he just continue. But you know
We try not to let our show be so much. We try not to talk so much about the current administration, but he just doesn't give us a choice. And just to let you know, we do try to stay on the up and up as far as current events.
Oh yeah.
And so Donald Trump again was the name of our show. So Donald Trump again.
Yes, and it's been enlightening for me to get that off my chest.
Me too.
And so now I'm going to do a spiritual moment. My verse is James 4:7, and it reads, "Submit yourself therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Amen. And this has been KUAW, Kansas City Global Community Radio Station. And if you want to call to the station, it's 816-599-6893. And our website is kuaw.org. Facebook is KUAW-LPFM 98.5. And this has been Senior Moment with Millie
and CC.